this Death Star is fully operational.
Friends, this week I'm getting my duck boat dialed in for hunting season. She always needs a whole bunch of work before I can get her out on the water.
I gotta replace this busted nose piece. I had to put the frickin' torch on this stupid thing. Just finished going through all my wiring, but she's getting a little long in the tooth. I'm fixing anchors. Look, I just made an anchor out of an old maul.
Yeah, she gets the absolute snot beat out of her all season long, so I try not to be too precious about it.
That pain is not that bad for 10 minutes.
Pretty good!
Yep, got the motor on, got her seaworthy, gave her a little test run.
And here we are. This is the little boat blind I'm talking about, where I can drive my boat right in behind it.
Now I gotta brush that in. Brought a saw.
Even got a spot dialed in.
Coming down pretty good again and feeling pretty nice in here, pretty nice and dry. There's nothing worse than getting out in the field and having like equipment failures or problems, etc. to like take it out of a successful mindset. So it was good I got it all dialed in, and even if I don't see a bird, I'm a real happy guy. I did my job today. I did what I needed to do to have a successful season, you know?
Fall time is officially on us here in Central Ontario, and I think it's my favorite time of year. All the harvests are coming in from the garden. A lot of the best mushrooms are popping out in the woods. I'm chopping wood. I'm doing all the things around the property to get ready for our long, cold, harsh Canadian winter, and all the hunts are starting. And as you can see behind me here in all this mess, I'm starting to prep the old duck machine for action. I gotta replace this busted nose piece, which I busted right at the end of the season last year. It was like snowing and crappy, and I was like, you know what, I'll get to it before the season next year. Do as I say, not as I do. Don't leave it till next year. This is such a pain in the ass. I actually want to get out on the water, and I can't because I can barely launch this boat. So there's that. I have a ton of paint jobs. You see all these little scuffs and little shiny bits, and my tank here, which is gotten all scuffed up, and the floor, etc. Well, all that stuff needs to get painted over because I'm a little bit anal about little shiny things that might flare off a duck, etc. So I've got lots of little touch-ups, paint projects. This burlap here, I really need to inspect. I'm gonna try and limp it through another season, but she's getting a little long in the tooth. I'm fixing anchors. Look, I just made an anchor out of an old maul. But most importantly, I just got this beautiful 15-horse motor on the boat that was given to me by a local marina, RMP Marinas, right here in Haliburton. They got a chain of marinas. They've been sponsoring my duck boat for the last, I think, 3 seasons, and they're just awesome people, and we have a great local partnership going. And this little motor right here, because I blew the bottom end of my old motor right out, has been with me for the last 3 seasons, doing an amazing job on this boat. So I'm just gonna make sure she's running good. We'll put her through the paces, etc. before we get out to do an actual hunt, get that all dialed in, and then a bunch of other little nitpicky bits. I'm getting safety equipment together. I'm checking ropes. I'm lubing stuff up, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes penetrating oil doesn't even do the trick. I had to put the frickin' torch on this stupid thing. Just finished going through all my wiring, which I redid last year and is performing real good. I got to do some final tests. Just redid my bearings. I've got a whole bunch of grease in there. Bearing buddies, guys, here's a great tip for you. If you don't have bearing buddies, these things that you can inject with a grease gun, you're not doing yourself any favors. Those will save you a ton of trouble. Anyway, axle's all greased up. Tires looking good. You get the point. There's a lot of work that goes into getting this on the water, but we're just getting there. Quick word about sponsored content or products that may or may not appear on this channel. I've got a bunch of channel partners over on my Instagram. Some of them are going to come over here to YouTube and some won't, and that's fine. The important thing is that you know when there is a sponsored product, I'm not talking about this motor. This is a no-brainer. I'm talking about like an actual product that you could like buy yourself and that I might be promoting or using myself or whatever. It's going to be really, really clear that that's the case. I see a lot of outdoors channels here on YouTube that take a lot of really pretty pictures and video of sponsored products, but never really say that it is a sponsored product or that they're being paid to promote it or sent free stuff or whatever. That's never going to be the case here. I'm only ever going to be 100% frank with you and let you know about those things so you can make up your own mind if you want to, grab it or not. And also, you're only ever going to see good quality stuff here. On my Instagram, for example, I get so many requests for cheap junk from China and all over the world, etc. And I turn down 90% of them. So if there is a sponsored product on here, it's only ever going to be because I think it's good quality and I think it might be beneficial to you in some way, or because I'm using it myself and I like it. That doesn't mean you have to like it.
So anyway, I said my piece. This is not my motor. It was given to me by RMP Marinas, and I love Yamahas. I own Yamahas. They are not a channel sponsor, but I'll give you my honest opinion. I really do think they are the best and most reliable motors on the market.
But I'm getting off track. Let's get this duck boat ready.
And a big part of this job is getting my once beautiful camo paint job all touched up. If you're a waterfowl hunter, you already know how much of a beating these boats take, and the paint is always the first casualty.
All right, well, everything's more or less in order to start. Paint touch-ups, nice shine-free rig. And whenever I'm doing paint touch-ups, it's always good to start out with a little fine grit sandpaper. Just go over, make sure there aren't any flakes and that everything's dry, etc. I'm gonna do this a little bit better in a minute, but you get the idea, right? Just make sure that paint can stick. Well, we're gonna get on to it. And that includes all this kind of stuff, especially plastic, where it doesn't stick good. You see all that, I just don't like that. I know that's anal. It's who I am, okay? I'm sorry. But look at all these flakes coming off. Not good. I don't want any of that on there because I want that to get me through the whole season without having to redo this. This box, even my boat box, I'm going to paint down. But look at all that flaking, man. It sucks.
Now, this might seem a little anal to those of you who've never done it before, but if you don't take off those chips, the new paint just won't stick. You really do need to take these few extra minutes.
I don't really bother with the bottom a whole lot.
And if you're not a waterfowl hunter, this might all seem like overkill to you, but the point of all this painting is to have the ability to park the boat even with the top down and not in cover, and to be able to get shots. Blending in as much as possible to not spook incoming birds is half the game.
And just like that, quick coat of paint, and I suppose I should have put on some gloves, but it's not really exactly my jam. I forget stuff like that all the time. But you can see nothing's gonna shine, and the boat actually looks pretty good. Now, I'm gonna drop in a picture of this thing when it was first painted. It was so much better than this, but that's not that bad for 10 minutes. I'll take it. I'll certainly get a season of ducks out of that little paint job right there.
And hold on, I gotta show you a flashback to the first time this boat was ever painted.
Final touches on Duck Machine 2.0. Ran out of brown on the gas tank, but hey, I think it blends in pretty good. I'm super stoked to get this thing out on the water.
Ah, she was a classy broad back then. Look at it. Beautiful. I slaved over that. Nailed every last little detail, and even the old Mariner got a sweet paint job. And I missed that motor. It was so good and so reliable for so many years until she finally gave up the ghost, and that's why RMP Marinas got involved and sponsors the boat to this day. But man, was she ever easy on the eyes after that first paint job.
Didn't pay as much attention to the backside. This side rarely faces the actual hunt, but still, I think it looks pretty good, man. It's not terrible. Now, unfortunately, there's too much water in the boat to bother putting all these big giant scuffs that happen every single year back into order, but it doesn't really matter. These don't flare much in terms of, ducks seeing them. Also, a lot of times the scissor blinds up. You're never going to see them, and many more times I put down mats. Here's a great duck hunting tip for you. Tin boats, man, John boats, this is not a John boat, but even if you do have a John boat, they make a lot of noise. There's nothing worse than swimmers coming in and you got to shift your position a little bit and something tinkles on the bottom there and spooks them. I do put floor mats down in here and they cover up a lot of that anyway. And if you're new here and you haven't seen my crazy PVC scissor blind, this is literally made out of PVC pipe. It's super light, it's super strong. It sags a little, but that's actually kind of a good thing. It gets rid of those straight lines. There's no straight lines in nature, so I don't mind if it does that a little bit. And I'll show you how this works later. I'm not even gonna test it now. I'm running out of light, but it is pretty dope. Like this part here has a full-on tarp underneath it where you can sit in your duck hunting in pouring rain and be bone dry if we need to. And a lot of times I just use this front piece. This burlap wraps down, and then I'll show you I've got a little elastic cord and I can just stick reeds and stuff in there when necessary. But a lot of times I don't even need to stick anything in that as long as you're concealed. That piece of burlap there, that camel burlap that hangs down roughly just almost to the water there, really kind of does the job in a lot of spots where you don't have to put up the whole blind.
Just a couple more little nips and tucks, and then I'm actually gonna dunk her in the water. I'm not gonna test all my trailer lights and everything now. What I wanna test is the motor before I run out of light.
Haha, and she's in. Beautiful.
I don't know about you, but I actually think she looks pretty freaking nice, man. All things considered, look, the basement boy likes it. He thinks it's freaking dope. Right, dude? I did a pretty good job, huh? Come on, give it to me. That paint is not that bad for 10 minutes. I mean, it's not awesome, but it's all right. So my old Mariner that I had on there actually was fully painted, and I can't paint their motor, obviously, so I'm gonna make some kind of little cozy, and then we'll be dialed right in. There will not be a part of this that shines, shimmers, or gives anything away. Anyway, let's see if we can get her started. Just gonna bring her over to the dock here and futz with the motor a little. May not need any futzing at all. From what I understand, they've already gone over it, so let's see if we can get her going, man. I'm stoked. I'm feeling it. Now I'm starting to get excited for the season. Primer up. I feel a little fuel coming through. I don't know if there's much, but I've got a really long fuel line. I hunt by myself a lot, and I like to have the weight of that fuel up in the nose of the boat. So this is a great big long 14-foot fuel line, which is technically too long for this, but it works just fine. But it does take some priming, man. Oh, there we go. It's getting hard now. We're almost there. All right. We'll choke her up a little bit. Probably gonna take a few pulls. Oh, look at that. Started right away. RMP Marinas, baby. What'd I tell you? Quality products. Oh man, started up first pull. She's purring like a tiger. Man, thanks again, RMP Marinas. And I'm really starting to feel it. Like I said, I'm really starting to feel that the season is on me, man. So I'll tell you what, let's take her out for a rip. All right, shall we?
Hey!
Oh yeah, she's feeling nice. Buttery, little rough off the hop, but it probably hasn't been running in a while. She's accelerating just fine now. Yeah, we're good. Let's have a look at some of these leaves. Beautiful. It really is just living in paradise. That's my house. All right, well, she's running like a top, man. Nothing wrong with that. Oh, and there's my boy. Hey, dude. She's running like a top, bro. Yeah, I couldn't be happier with that. Really, I just got to cover that motor a little bit, go over the electrical a little tiny bit. You can see I've got an extra fuel line there, and I've got a box of tools that needs to go in there. And then honestly, we're talking like guns and deeks, man. We're out. And now that the boat's off, I got room to work. I can replace that nose piece, and you can see even on my safety chain here, I've got a little bit of a mess going on. I had so many different things, and this thing busted last year. So anyway, I'm gonna sort all that out and get it clean. Look at that beauty. Brand new tongue on here last year. Paint job, am I right? Looking good, buddy, looking good. But none of that really means anything unless you get out and hunt. And I haven't this year. It's actually super late. I think it's like October 10th or so. I've missed like at least 3 weeks of good season, like early season. I don't know if I'm gonna see tail. I don't know if I'll see woodies, etc. There's usually a few stragglers, you never know, but that's all about to change.
Beautiful. Running lights, check.
This Death Star is fully operational.
Correct, she is fully operational mechanically and electrically, but there's a few other things to dial in, and that's exactly what I'm about to do right now. I'm taking her out on the water for a test run, kind of a test hunt almost. I'm gonna put up that scissor blind, check all the little pins and moving parts and tarps, etc. at a little spot not too far from home.
And here we are. This is the little boat blind I'm talking about, where I can drive my boat right in behind it and be hunting. There you'll start to get the idea. Now I gotta brush that in. Brought a saw. And while out of this spot, I do get wing shots this way. It does happen for sure. A lot of times, I'll let them come right in because I throw the spread back there. These little sloughs like this, these little bays that are narrow and sort of like come into a dead end are just havens for mallards and wood ducks. And actually a bunch of other species, but those two species specifically really like this kind of habitat, believe it or not, on big open lake systems. It's kind of, in my particular system here, there's not a lot of really shallow, mucky, ducky type stuff like this. So they just gravitate to these little sloughs in here. All right, let's check it out. I got the first layer on. Okay, boat's starting to be cast. I'm actually gonna build it up just a little bit higher, and then I don't even have to put up my blind that's built in here. Unless, of course, it's pissing like this. Actually, it's not pissing, it's just sort of raining now. But if you haven't seen this boat before, if you're just tuning in for the first time, I've got a scissor blind in here where there's a tarp built in underneath. You see that tarp underneath this burlap? I can hunt in the pouring rain and be totally dry. Just give you a quick look at the other side. It's getting there, but you can see it needs work. I can still see the nose, like a duck is never gonna come from this angle. That's the forest behind me. But still, you know, I like better coverage, and there's some holes. Just going to cut some more boughs. And quick note on being a good hunter neighbor. This land behind me, I believe to be public land, but I don't know that for sure. So I want to make sure that if that is private land, that I'm not intruding on it in any way. I'm not, like, there's no buildings, there's no cottage or anything, but maybe someone owns it. I really don't think so. But just in case, I'm only taking boughs that are standing over the high water mark, and trees, if you can have a look, that aren't on the property. That right there is actually well within the high water mark, this particular tree. So I don't mind taking a few boughs here and there and spreading that out, because if that is private property, I'm not bothering anyone and I'm not infringing on anyone's rights or property, you know what I mean? And that kind of stuff is really important for all of us hunters to keep in mind. It's like, you know, we got a bad enough rep as it is. You want to just be like, cool, man. All right, that's actually looking pretty good. I might bring some more next time, but for now, that's above where my blind would be. And I want to just sit there for a minute and kind of feel it out, feel if it's good. Now I'm going to throw out some deeks. Just, I don't know, 20 yards back this way, 30 yards back that way. Because I'll tell you why I like this spot. You get birds coming in from both funnels. There's a channel there and a channel there. Or up over from another lake that's that way. And they'll come whizzing right past to those deeks. And I get awesome passing shots in here. Didn't even start the motor. I'm just paddling out to where I want to chuck those deeks. And here's another view of that.
You know, I didn't actually come here to hunt today. I just came to sort of build that blind, but I figured 'tis the season. The migration's nowhere near started yet. There's not going to be a lot of birds. There might be some local ones. You never know. I certainly shoot them early in the season. But I'm just going to throw like a few little deeks and one little splasher and just see what happens, man. You know, I'm done for the day. I've got that thing roughed in. I'm sort of happy with where it is for now. So check a couple deeks and just wait out, you know, last light, shooting light. And yeah, just see if anything shows up.
Man, I love this thing. I just got this little splasher. Oh, hey, they got a little close there. Lady, you're swimming right into them. But tell me that doesn't just like animate your spread in the best way possible. And just a few little woodies. You know, I always like groups of 3. Here's a good tip for you. Ducks are really social. If you're putting out pairs of decoys or even numbers, that's less of an attractant than 3 because there's one without a mate when you got 3. If you think about it from a duck's perspective. And that counts for geese too. Man, I gotta go back and move her. Just got back to my little spot. You can see the distance there. We're talking like 25-ish yards. Just nice, but it did start pissing. So that's awesome. I might have to put the top up. You can see I just pissed around putting up the scissor blind and it stopped raining. Like it started to piss. I am freaking soaked. But at least I got her up, you know. I have to do a little redesign on this. With 2 guys, it literally goes up in seconds. With 1 guy, when you have to do one side at a time, it's kind of a bitch. I didn't drill the holes perfect. And I remember this from last year. One of them gave somewhere on that side. I have to re-drill it, but that's on my to-do list. But that's all right. It's a good chance to like test everything. You know, I'm gonna pull out this blind that I use. This is probably the part of it that I use the most often. It's just this front blind, because I wanted to see if this burlap was gonna actually make it through another season. Sorry if that footage is shaky, guys, but that just hangs down right over the front of the boat, see? And then I've got a nice little blindy blind to sit behind. And I'm just realizing, see, and this is early season, this is why you do this stuff. I need a little bit more brush on that side. I don't like that straight line being visible. There's no straight lines in nature, right? So I'm probably gonna build that up a little bit more in the end. And I don't even care if it's not raining. You can see, I got some mold in here actually. I don't know if that burlap's gonna hold this season, but we're gonna find out. I'm just unwrapping the roof, and you can see this is a super simple system. I kind of came up with this on my own. It's based like loosely on some designs that I saw on the internet, but the whole roof is really literally just held up by these little bits of paracord.
And those little lengths of paracord are super effective and easy to use.
And there you have it. That's what that's all about. Just like I said, a super simple design, but I'll tell you, this tarp has saved some hunts, man, when it was just like absolutely pissing super duper. And you can sit there dry as a bone. It's kind of awesome. The whole thing works on a broomstick that's zip tied into the other side of it. That holds that down, right, with a little bit of weight. And that's all you need. In wind, I do have a way of attaching that. I've got side pieces here, which I'm not bothering with right now. I don't care. I'm only going to be here for an hour, but I can do the whole sides and everything. And then you just got this perfect little shooting window, right? I don't even need it today. Like, it's starting to rain a little bit again. It's not a big deal, but I just wanted to, you know, test it first time of the season, see how she's holding up. But I think it might just get through another season. The tarp doesn't look that bad. I guess it's got to really piss and I'll see if it leaks, but until then, I'm not changing it. Now that I'm all snug as a bug in the rug, all I gotta do is just load her up a little bit, you know, sit around, see what happens. I'm not too arsed about it. I wasn't really planning on hunting anyway. I've got another shell here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Of course, it fell down in my spare tire. And we're good to go. Get in there, huh? That plug is a little stiff. Anyway, I think you get the point. A little hot coffee, dry as a bone, it's raining. But now I am gonna get a lot quieter because it's like prime time. I'm gonna see. I'm really, really not super hopeful, but you never know. There's local birds all over the place around here. I shoot them. Coming down pretty good again and feeling pretty nice in here, pretty nice and dry. Like I said, not overly optimistic about there being any birds at all. I've had zero movement so far. I haven't even seen any birds on the lake in a couple of days, but it was good just to come out, get this all dialed in, realize where I need some repairs on the blind, and maybe a couple patches in the burlap, etc. But it's all working out pretty good, and I think I'm ready for actual prime time, which is not that far out. So these little test hunts are really important, actually. There's nothing worse than getting out in the field and having like equipment failures or problems, etc., to like take it out of a successful mindset. So it was good I got it all dialed in, and even if I don't see a bird, I'm a real happy guy. I did my job today. I did what I needed to do to have a successful season, you know? Just a few minutes left, and I'm thinking about packing her in. I wanted to show you this. So the cool thing about this blind is the way I designed it. You see how it's open now? Look at that. See that? It's so dark you can't even see, but I can just roll up this back cover right into the roof like that, and then if it's still raining when I'm on my way home, you can see it's all open on both sides. Like I got this one rolled up too. I hope you can see that. It's so freaking dark. But anyway, I can grab teaks out of the sides. I can drive all the way back to the launch or to go home, etc., and I can still have a little bit of cover while I'm driving home. We started from the bottom, now we here. Oh, Susie Q. Pew, pew.
And with that, she's all dialed in and ready for prime time. Even got in a little test hunt, got to blow a few calls, and now I'm headed back to the old homestead. And check out how glassy, calm, and flat the lake is. I love being out on the water at this time of day and just ripping down the lake.
That'll dry her out pretty good.
There's my little buddy. Hey, dude. Ow. There's a quick look at her back home, back at the dock.
See what I'm saying? That tarp, nice and dry, man. Not too shabby. Well, she's a little shabby. It's a little shabby. Let's be honest. But hey, it works. Getting cold though. Check this out. This cold snap coming. With any luck, that gets the birds moving.
Thanks for watching, guys, and make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications for upcoming duck hunting videos. Drop a like on here if you did enjoy the video, and let me know what you think down in the comments. Cheers.